Hey there! Welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting and other crafts, but mainly knitting, and all knitting today. This is episode 17, and I'm Nicole. So the name of the Professor Purl podcast, the impetus of it is that I am a math education professor. I live in the Pacific Northwest with my husband Kyle and my daughter Matilda. And so yeah, Professor Purl is sort of a play on my career and my enjoyment of knitting. And the reason why I'm mentioning my career as a professor and a math education professor right now is because I want to share, before I get into like the things I've been knitting, I want to share something really fun, which is a dyer I follow, Pearls and Postulates, Jessica. She dyes yarn that is like math and science related and also educational. I think she has a background in math education like me. And I've just really it's like kind of nerdy yarn and I love it. The first yarn I bought from her was a pencil sock kit. I think that's how I first discovered it. It was mini skeins to make essentially a toe-up sock that looks like a pencil. If I can find a picture, I'll pop it in here. And I wear them so much. And yeah, and there's other yarn as well that she has that has like kind of a math play on it. And so of course, like I have to get it. So that's how I discovered her. And she has this initiative called Real Women, Real STEM. And I'll put the hashtag here if you want to follow it on Instagram and follow Pearls and Postulates as well to find out more about the initiative. Essentially, she each year dyes like a collection of yarn that really is a way to promote like different careers in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And so my career, math education, is this month. And so I, got to give her some color suggestions and things like that. And yeah, so I'll show you a picture of this yarn. And my understanding is it's not for sale exactly right now, even though it says May. And that's because I think this weekend she's going to do a giveaway for a sock set. So the main color, that's kind of that pinky color, is called Math Education Professor. And the mini, which I had input in naming, is Number Line. And before she puts it for sale, she does a giveaway on her page. So you can go enter in that giveaway if you want. And I think I've never won, but I think I've participated in it where usually it's some sort of like question and you make a comment. I think that's how it works. Or maybe your comments are questions. I'm not really sure. Like, just go check it out. And anyway, you can win a sock set. And so that's why she doesn't put it for sale until after the winner has been announced, so that if you won, you don't have to buy it, essentially. And so I think it will sometime next week go for sale. Maybe Wednesday, I don't know. You'll just need to go follow Pearls and Postulates. But there's yarn called Math Education Professor and Number Line. And just for like transparency, like I don't make any money off of this. This is just purely supporting the dyer Pearls and Postulates. I think, although I haven't received it yet, but my understanding is I will get a free sock set. So I will get like the yarn and a mini skein for free. But how often is it that you have yarn like related to you? And so, I mean, that's incredible. Mind-blowing really to me. So I'm going to buy more. My plan is to buy enough to make a sweater. I mean, who wouldn't want that's sort of my work uniform. Like this is a love note with no lace. I love to wear like a sweater and a pair of dress pants to work. So I'm thinking it would be really cool to get a sweater's worth. And I'm thinking maybe a love note amount. If you follow this podcast, you know I love the love note, and I've knit 5 of them. I've knit 2 love notes that have lace. I've knit one with no lace, which I'm wearing here. And I've knit one with lace that I've substituted the pattern in, and I've knit one for my daughter. So it's 5. So I'm ready for my 6th. And so I'm leaning towards that. But I've also been very interested in knitting a cumulus from Petite Knit. So trying to make some decisions. If you have an opinion, feel free to let me know below if I should go for another love note or do something new. So I think that's the game plan for me. Is next week I'm going to be watching Pearls and Postulates so I can get some math education professor yarn. It's been a bit since I've podcasted. I mean, I think at least 3 weeks. The situation is I've been really busy, and I'll get into that in the personal life. And I actually haven't been knitting a lot. And so you might be wondering why a podcast then, because I actually have a lot to show you. But I really have been busy and not really knitting a lot, which since I have 2 test knits is a little bit problematic. But so I have a lot of whips to show you and a lot of content, I feel like, but I don't have any FOs. So I'll show you this finished object, a blast from the past, which you've probably seen, which is, it's a love note with no lace. And if you haven't knit a love note with no lace, do it. It feels like you're wearing a sweatshirt, but you're not. You're wearing something that looks really, really nice. And yeah, obviously love note with lace also has a similar shape like a sweatshirt, but it just, I don't know, it feels a little fancier with the lace. You gotta make sure you're wearing a shirt under it. Well, you don't have to wear a shirt underneath it. I enjoy wearing a shirt underneath it, but like this just feels like super easy to put on. And it seems, at least on social media, that it's like really nice and sunny other places, but here where I'm living in the Pacific Northwest it's been sunny, but there's like, I went for a walk today, but it looks like it's about to rain now, and it's actually a little chilly, like it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is like the perfect thing to wear today. So I'll just show a blast from the past. So let me hop into my works in progress. I've written them out because there's a lot. Okay, since the last podcasted, I've started 2 test knits and have acquired new yarn for those 2 new test knits. So the first test knit, and this is Knitter's Backpack. It's from Ritual Dyes. Kyle got this for me for some kind of holiday, and it was before Ritual Dyes had a studio that you could like go buy yarn at and buy their bags at in Portland here. It was like when they were online only, and so it's kind of old, but it's really great for traveling and not just knitting. Anyway, it's big, and the Lennox pullover is going to be a big, boxy pullover, and so I wanted a big bag for it. The Lennox pullover, because I haven't mentioned it yet, is designed by Anna from the Bluebird box. And the test knit experience is different from other ones that I've been in that we work in a Slack group, which has been really fun for me to try out Slack. And anyway, a lot of the test knitters are responsibly doing like a cream or a gray or very classic color for like a very classic looking pullover. I can't. I tried. I swatched for the Lennox pullover in a like very like neutral classic color because it is a classic looking sweater that deserves a long lasting color, but this is a neutral for me though, really. I mean, I will wear this so much. So I had it's looking very neon here. It is neon, but it's more of a pastel neon. Like here it's looking not up like a pastel neon. That's probably more true. Maybe I should just leave it like this. The lighting, I don't know. Anyway, so I had a vision and I messaged my friend Kelly from Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, and she also dyes yarn that she calls Red Sheep, and that's her label. You can see Les Moutons Rouge is on here. It's hand dyed. And so I messaged her like kind of my vision, and she was like, well, I haven't dyed yarn like that. And she showed me a rainbow mini skein set she had done. And so I asked her if she'd do it on sport. And there was a little bit of a dilemma in her like having enough sport base and stock to dye me that. So I had to wait a little bit. So I feel like that's sort of the theme here. My test knits is like the testers got started and I got kind of a little delayed in like getting my yarn. But she dyed it right away and I got it really quickly. And so even though I was a little bit delayed, I don't feel like I'm behind in the test knit, in this test knit that much. Just I'm a little bit behind some testers, but I don't feel like too bad. So that's the color. And it's a bottom up sweater, which is not necessarily my favorite construction, but I think it'll be worth it for this sweater. I have knit a boxy from Joji Locatelli, and that also is bottom up, and so I'm sure there is a design reason that boxy sweaters are bottom up. I don't know what that design reason is, but I'm sure there's a reason. And so I have to knit the sleeves first, which is great because there won't be any sleeve island. And so since I last podcasted, I'm almost done with this sleeve. I think I do it 17 inches or something like that. The neat thing about this construction is also, well, they're not only will there not be sleeve island, but I'm knitting it inside out, so it looks like stockinette here, smooth, but this is actually, this will be the right side and this will be the wrong side. So I think that's really clever to knit inside out, essentially. I mean, I think I saw some pictures on Anna's Instagram where she wore the sweater in reversible. If you weave in your ends nicely, you could wear it reversible. So that's quite nice. And this really, I haven't knit on this in 2 weeks. So when I got it, I just like kind of flew and then I halted. I went a whole week without knitting a stitch. I'll talk about that in personal section, but essentially I didn't knit that. I haven't knit that for like 2 weeks. The yarn is so soft and I think the sweater is amazing, and so I can't wait to kind of pick it back up. But the reason why that is kind of like halted is because of my other test knit. And it is in this bag. In October, I visited a yarn store called Wild Hand in Philadelphia, and I loved it. I have an interview on my channel, I'll link it below if you want. And I just had the best time in Philadelphia and at Wild Hand. And so for local yarn store day in April, I saw on their website, on their Instagram or their website, that they had these bags and they were pink. I think they were a limited edition for local yarn store day. I don't know for sure, but I was like, this logo is so beautiful. And I just needed it. So this is what I'm keeping my second test knit in, which is the Petite Souffle from Laura of Penrose Knits. Now, most of the testers in this group are done, and I've just started. I wrote down the date I started. I started this May 16th, and I'm recording this on the 19th. So, I mean, I've been knitting this for a couple days because when I started the 16th, it was swatching. And after I swatched, I actually had to swatch a second time because my gauge came out too big. I'm a very loose knitter, so I had to size down 2 needle sizes at first. That's automatically what I do. And that wasn't enough, so I had to go down 3 needle sizes. And that has nothing to do with the design or the designer. That is me. That is how I am on nearly all designs, that I go way down a needle size. Oh, that reminds me. My other testament, I had to go down quite a bit too. I just want to hop back over here for a second, sorry. I tried out new needles on this. That's what I wanted to mention. These needles here are the Chow-Goo, but the bamboo. I wanted to try that out because the only 9-inch needles I had were metal, and sometimes if you switch between metal and wooden needles, it can change your gauge. I can't believe that this is my first time trying the Chow-Goo bamboo. They're sharp. Like, they're a wooden needle that's sharp. I love them a lot. So that's been really fun. And I forgot to mention this color is called Make Lemonade. Anyway, sleeve knitting's fun on 9-inch needles. So this is looking dark to me now. Goodness. Maybe this color looks really accurate now here. So anyway, okay, so my second test knit is the Petite Souffle from Laura Penrose Knits. My last 2 or 3 episodes on this channel, I've shown the original souffle for an adult made out of mohair. It's beautiful. I've shown the chunky souffle, and I test knit both of those. And so I eagerly applied for the Petite Souffle because my vision was I wanted to make a matching one with Matilda. Like, I have a hot pink one. I made it on Knit Picks yarn. So even though the Petite Souffle is a different yarn weight than the chunky souffle, I was thinking I could get a yarn color really close from Knit Picks in the DK weight. But Matilda said, no, I want a purple sparkle. And, you know, she's 4. I have to let her pick, so she'll wear it. She won't wear things that she doesn't have like a voice in. So I found some purple sparkle yarn. The Jody from Tracy and Jody of the Grocery Girls, Jody and Jordan dye yarn. I think it's called Frankie's Fibers, after their cat perhaps. And so I knew that she had a DK sparkle base, so I went there and I found a beautiful light lavender. But I thought, you know, I'm just gonna have Matilda pick this out. And so she went through and she picked, and she didn't pick what I thought I didn't think she'd pick this. You can see it's like all kinds of colors. Maybe I have a full skein. The colorway is called Sweet Pea, and it's on the DK Sparkle base. Yeah, so here's Frankie Fibers logo. It does have purple and it is sparkle, which is what she said, but it also has like blue and pink. It's so pretty. So I had to buy that, because she wanted it, and I'm making her a sweater, and so she'll wear it. But because Frankie Gray Fibers is located in Canada, like it takes a little bit to get here, and so it took about 2 weeks to get, and that was like 2 weeks taken off my test knitting time, and then it arrived when I was traveling. And so, I mean, essentially this Monday is when I was able to start this. So I kind of like am in like a bit of a speed knitting moment. Laura was so kind and understanding about like yarn taking, a second to get to you, she couldn't be more accommodating. So she's not saying like rush or anything like that. Like, it's not like that at all. But I want to be like a good test knitter. And so I I'm going to, I mean, maybe next time I podcast, I may have nothing to show other than a souffle, but I'm going to work really hard to have a souffle, a petite souffle done. So when the yarn arrived, Matilda had like one of these like beautiful moments where like as a mom, like I feel, and a knitter, like as a mother who knits, that I will remember forever. Essentially, like package comes, I open it up and I say it's her yarn, and she like I kid you not, like she hugged it, like she was like hugging it, and she's like, my sweater, my sweater. And she's like, will you make me my sweater? And she was so excited about it. And like, it just makes me want to knit this too. And then, I mean, it's just been cute. She hasn't like, it wasn't just like that. Like she said, like kept saying things at home. Like when she went to preschool, she was like, are you gonna finish my sweater? It's like, well, it takes longer than like a little bit of time when you're gone. And then last night, she actually asked for her knitting needles. This is what she calls her knitting needles. There's these plastic glittery needles that I bought when I was like 19 or 20 or something to knit like eyelash scarves. And so anyway, I gave them to Matilda. And so she got her knitting needles out last night and she wanted to help me knit the sweater. And I gave her some yarn and we were practicing knitting and she was really sad. And I was like, why? And she's like, she knew that what we were doing over here with other yarn like wasn't actually contributing to her sweater. She wanted to knit these stitches on this sweater. And I just, anyway, I know that I needed to share the knitting, but I just needed to share that personal stuff about like her being so excited because I need to cherish that in case like, you know, she gets older and doesn't want me to knit for her anymore. Anyway, what's really neat about this yarn is it's variegated, but it's not pooling in big chunks. It's just, you can see it's phenomenal. And it makes me want a souffle in this color, and it's glittery. That's not showing up here on the screen, but in person, you can see the Selena. So it's all that with glitter, like epic. This is epic. Yeah, so this is gonna be like so fun to give Matilda when I finish it. So since I'm talking about the souffle, I will just mention that June 15th on this channel on YouTube and on Ravelry and on Instagram, I'm going to host a souffle knit along. And it's going to be called More Souffle Please. And the thought would be is if I go to Rhinebeck, I'm going to pick one of my souffles to wear. And if I go to Rhinebeck and bring Matilda, like I don't know if I would bring Matilda, but like if I did, she could wear her souffle too. And so it would be fun, like if people are going to Rhinebeck for us to wear our souffles and meet up. So, I mean, that's really futuristic thinking as that's in October and it's May, but that's how I am. And anyway, and also just to knit souffles for the fun of it. So I've knit two, I'm on the petite one. Sometime this summer, where I was going to release the summer souffle, I don't know when, but if it was around the time of June 15th, that like would be really cool. And so I will knit that. And if it doesn't happen, like I'll just knit a different souffle. I will be done with this by June 15th for sure. Because the test knit's due before that. So anyway, there's a souffle knit along coming up. So I'm just mentioning that. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because I had this, I think it's a cool idea, which is I love progress keepers and I love using them on my socks, on my sweaters. They're pretty much in every project I use. And this winter I bought some progress keepers from Tiddly Bakes. I'll put Tiddly Bakes Instagram handle here. And I just I love her stuff. It's so good. And so I was sitting around and I was thinking, for the souffle knit along, wouldn't it be really cool if I baked my own souffle, like to eat, like a chocolate one or a cheese and leek one? And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be even more epic if I had a progress keeper that looked like the souffle that I was going to make? And so then I reached out to Tiddly Bakes and I was like, I don't know if you do custom orders or anything like this, but like, could you make progress keepers that look like these souffles that I want? Yes, I'll pop in some pictures here. So here's the chocolate souffle. What? And here's the cheese and leek souffle. I'm obsessed. So yeah, I don't really know the ins and outs of like when exactly these will be posted to be for sale, but these will be for sale. And I will be buying a chocolate one and a cheese and leek one, and you can too now if you're interested. And for me, like that's for the more souffle, please sort of make along. Whips will be allowed. So if you've started one now or you want to start it before June 15th, like that's fine. But my thought is that I would, for like the kickoff, make a souffle to eat. And I would also like use the souffle progress keeper on my souffle, whatever souffle I end up making. And I wanted you to be able to do that too. So I will share recipes and I will also have these progress keepers. And yeah, and again, like this, I'm not making any money from this or anything. It's just that like, it was just me requesting a custom order of the souffles, and you can purchase that, and all that's for Tiddly Bakes as well. So anyway, I thought that was like a fun little extra fun thing. Okay. Speaking of makealongs, the other thing I have knit on since last time we talked is a hat. On May 15th, the Books and Beanies Makealong co-hosted with Kristen and Maddie from We Share Needles started. And we did a Instagram live. It posted on my grid, but they you should go follow them if you're not. They're really funny. And anyway, they just knit so prolifically, like just very, very productive. And they probably can't even count how many musselburghs they've made. That's like, and I am like on the other end of the continuum where I'm a bit of a slow knitter. So they would, if this was them, they would already be done with this musselburgh, but I'm here. I actually went on a vacation, and which I will share about in the personal section, but I put in a progress keeper and I maybe knit a little bit on the plane, and then the rest of this was during the Instagram live. So I just really haven't knit much lately. And so this is my hat for the Books and Beanies Makealong. Any book counts, any beanie counts. And the finished object threads are posted on their Ravelry group, and the chatter thread is posted in my Ravelry group. And also there's the hashtag on Instagram, Books and Beanies Mal, that you can use in all three of those spaces. We will draw prizes from. And this is the book we chose. Again, you can read any book you want, but this is the book that we will do a book discussion on. So we don't have an exact end date for this make along. It is going to run like 2 months, which should be enough time to read this pretty short book and make a hat. And the thought is that we will discuss a book. And so this is the book. It's Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and the question at the top here says, what would you change if you could travel back in time? And so the premise essentially is that you can go back in time and change something, but you have to get back to this coffee shop before your coffee gets cold. So I think that's going to be a fun read, and that goes with that. So worked on my Musselburgh. And there's another Makealong happening on this channel, and it is one of the Makealongs that's giving me a lot of joy, which is this Scrappy sweater Makealong. And there's monthly, the first Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's a Zoom, and that's been really good for me because I think it's the only Zoom knit group right now I have going on, and so it's just something I really look forward to every month. I actually have been wishing it was more than once a month just because I've been enjoying that group so much. And so I actually have made some, I'm not done with my rad vent still. This is a very long-term project, which I'm also hoping to wear to Rhinebeck. I thought it'd be really cute to wear like a knitting t-shirt and then have this over it. That I have made some stellar progress, and I'm super excited to show you, which is, the last time I showed it to you, it was 2 different pieces. Now it is 1 piece. So what I did is I had to graft the 2 pieces together. You can kind of see a line here. Essentially I did Kitchener stitch, and I love Kitchener stitch, and so it was really fun. I think it was the first time I've ever done Kitchener stitch in this long of a piece. And the moment I grafted the 2 halves of the sweater together, it's like it came alive, and it had this like personality it didn't have before because it was just 2 halves of a sweater before. Yeah, so essentially the construction was to knit up 1 sleeve and then to knit up another. And you can see that this was all these different mini skeins. So there's 25 of them. And so it really, really showcases your advent of yarns just so beautifully, I think. And it's just gonna make such a unique cardigan piece. Okay, so then I picked up the ribbing. And I did that on the Zoom night, actually, like picked up the stitches, and then I've since started knitting, and it's quite long ribbing, I think 30 something rows. It's twisted rib flat. Both Maddie and Kristen from We Share Needles modified this pattern to be a 2x2 rib. And at the time I thought, that's a fine modification, whatever rib, you know, whatever is good. But now that I'm like in it, I'm like, 2x2 would have been great because just, it goes so good front and back. But like twisted 1x1 flat, now you gotta purl through the back loop on the wrong side. And so I did make a mistake, and I haven't, and there was part of me that wanted to pull back and rip it out, and I haven't yet because I'm thinking it may work out. And it also may not. And then it'll make this long project even longer. Here's what happened. The ratio for picking up stitches in the bottom is 3 stitches. You pick up 3 for every 4 stitches, or every 4 rows, you pick up 3 stitches. Okay, but I forgot that I modified this pattern. And what I modified was I was slipping the first stitch of every row. So what that means is what looks like a stitch on the bottom here was actually 2 rows. So when I do the ratio of picking up 3 stitches for every 4 rows on a thing that I've modified that's already 2 rows, not 1 row, I'm really making the circumference of this ribbing much smaller. So what I should have done is just picked up every leg. but I didn't do that. So this ribbing is not as big as the size that I am supposed to have. But I did size up. Like based on my waist measurement and everything, like there was a size I was supposed to do, and then I went up a size. Just because I was nervous. So I, like, holding it up to me, like, I think it's going to be fine. And then there's also going to be a button band. So I'm thinking it's going to be fine. But that technically is a mistake. And so I'm waiting to see how it plays out. Like, when I'm done with this ribbing, when I put it on, like, am I going to like how it looks? And if I don't, it's going to be worth the time to pull it back, because this is such a big piece and it's something I will wear a lot longer than it takes me to make. So it just makes sense if I don't like the way it fits for me to pull it out. But I didn't want to pull it out right away because it is twisted ribbing, and I was thinking, like, this actually looks like it might be, it looks, you know, like it looks like it might fit just fine. So anyway, so that's, it's always, I always feel so kind of awkward showing this on the podcast because it's this very long project that I'm showing almost every podcast, and it feels like I should be done, and I'm not. I don't feel any guilt around it. I just feel like maybe it's boring to watch or something, but I am so proud of this progress that I just needed to show it to you. And now any progress I will show on it in the future, I may not show this again until it's done, just because any progress I would show is going to be a little bit boring. It's just ribbing and weaving in ends, but I'm so happy with this. I'm really happy with this. And I don't have next year's kind of Advent project picked out in my mind, but I want to do something like that, like a garment where I'm using my minis. And so I don't, based on how long this one's taking me, I don't know if I necessarily want to do this one again. I might want just like a little break from it. I don't know. Let me know if you have any ideas for sweaters, for Scrappy sweaters, which I've also asked on this channel already. I've gotten a few answers. I should probably make a document where I start like categorizing them. But if you have any other suggestions or new ones on your radar, let me know. I decided to make the Dream Knitting segment all about the books and beanies make-along, because that's where my head's been, like, just excited about that. I was really excited to partner up with We Share Needles. I think they're like some of the funniest, nicest people I know, and I just couldn't be more excited about it. And then the book is going to be so fun, and hats are a small project, which are really nice in the summer, and so I'm just thrilled. So I put together a basket of like my hopes, my books and beanies hopes. In a way, it could be unrealistic as I have like 2 test knit sweaters I need to do, but you know, this is 2 months. Actually, if I start knitting again, actually, like I could get a lot done. So here's my books and beanies hopes. And I have shown this yarn on the podcast before, but just gonna revisit it here. So I want to knit a hipster hat from Petite Knit. It's like a ribbed hat. And the yarn, one of the yarn suggested is Sunday from Sandus Garn, which I got when I was in San Diego at Apricot Yarn. And this yarn is non-superwash and it's so soft. So I actually wanted to cast this on at the Books and Beanies Instagram live cast on party. Like, this was my plan. But I was running behind, which I'll share more about in my personal section, but like I was really lucky to be home. I was running behind, so I just didn't have like the mental space to like find the needles, start a new project. I just needed to like just sit down and knit something that was already going. So I did the Musselburgh. So now my reward for finishing the Petite Souffle is going to be to cast that hat on. It's so soft. And I think the reason why I'm so excited about hats is that, well, we had the books and berets Makealong, and that was like the first time I had made myself a hat. And I mean, if a beret is a hat, like in a long time. I had gone years without making hats, which is ironic because I like knit a lot, but sweaters. And so I hadn't knit myself like hats in like forever. And so once I made those berets, I was wearing them a lot and it was like really fun. And so I'm excited to, even though it's not like hat season to wear a hat in the summer, I'm really excited to like kind of build up that hat wardrobe for the fall. And like when fall starts, have these fun hats to pick from. So that's that one. Okay. So then there's the Christina hat, which I don't have the pattern printed off, but I'll pop a picture here. The Christina hat from iRock Knits. It's totally my style, like with the beads and the pearls. So around Christmas time, I couldn't help myself. And my thought was I wanted to cast it on right away then, but then, you know, life, it just didn't happen. But I bought this yarn from Chelsea Luxe and it is pink peony in the mohair, and I think this is DK. This might be worsted. I think it's worsted actually. Anyway, you hold those together. And then I got these, I've got like little, you can hear them, beads and a beetle needle. I got this from Arkansas Yarn Company. I was influenced by Maddie from We Share Needles. She's knit some Christina hats and she used the beetle needle. So let me show you my purl. I'll show you one of the pearls here. So I'm going to use like clear, not clear, like kind of iridescent creamy pearls in this pink. It's going to be so good. So good. And that hat is me. And it's going to go so well with like every jacket I own probably. So anyway, I'm beyond, I mean, this will too. Two different kind of aesthetics, and I'm just pumped. And then this is where it starts to bridge on like, maybe what you want to do is a little bit unrealistic. We'll see. But I also bought this when I was in San Diego at Apricot Yarn, and it is perennial from Calborn Woolens. And I think this would be a really nice hat for Kyle. And I hardly ever knit for him. I did knit the last time I knit him a hat, and the last time I knit a hat was when I was in labor. I actually was like literally like laboring. Didn't know I was in labor, just side note. And knitting. And I knit him a hat, a colorwork hat. And that's the last time I knit a hat. So yeah. I would like to knit him another hat. I was thinking a Musselburgh or an Oslo hat. And I think that would be really fun. Especially when he goes on walks or something. It's like, it makes you very visible, which would be nice. So that's some of my hat dreams, my hat knitting dreams for the upcoming Makealong. I would love to know if you're participating and like, are you reading this book? Are you reading a different book? What hat pattern are you doing? On the Instagram live, a few people mentioned some hat patterns I hadn't heard of, and so it was like fun to go look those up. So yeah, I'd love to know what hat pattern you're making. So for this section, the Professor's Pearls, it's a section of the podcast where I like to reflect on like my career as a professor and make connections to the knitting world, my knitting, and I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, and I think it's going to be a little cheesy because that's just sort of where I'm at right now. But let me come over here. I think for me, what I wanted just to say is like, in thinking and learning, community makes things better. And with knitting, community makes things better. And so like just the common thread of community is enhancing your experience both in learning and in like living. And why that's on my mind, I guess, is from a research perspective, one of the things I do is I study the ways that people think and construct knowledge individually. So one of the reasons why I was busy and not doing a lot of knitting is I was wrapping up a research study where I was interviewing some children individually about things. And like my theoretical lens I approach my work is called radical constructivism. And you can look that up. Yeah, so I spent all this time talking about ways that we construct our own knowledge and kind of construct our reality, and how these individual ways we think are unique. And I do believe that to be true, that I construct my knowledge and that I create it and that it is a unique way. I do believe that to be true. But all that isn't situated in like a context of like being social together, both in thinking and learning, and also our knitting. Like I can knit in isolation and learn something in isolation, but it's not a part of this community. These communities though are so interesting, right? Because they're physically, but also virtual, these communities. And anyway, the communities make everything enhanced and better. Like I learn more because of everybody that I meet online on YouTube. I enjoy my knitting more, like when I'm watching a podcast or when I'm chatting with somebody that I met on Instagram who's knitting something similar, and we're like kind of connecting over that. And it just, like even this Makealong for the books and beanies, like this Makealong is a way for us just to come together as a community. And that's really just made my life better, to have this community. And I didn't know how much I needed that until I met people through this podcast, both like people who watch it and like I've met, and you know, on the Zoom even though we're meeting on Zoom, it feels now in 2022 like that feels like in person sometimes, you know, and it feels like you're making these authentic friendships. And that's sometimes how I feel even like listening to people chat about their knitting on podcasts. And so that's just the takeaway about community. And in the same way, I believe the classroom, it's the same with learning math. Like you can do all these math problems in isolation, but you will learn so much more and enjoy it so much more when you're working together. And it was always hard for me as a student to like work with people in groups on problems. That was actually very hard for me, but it was worth like learning how to do that because I enjoyed the classroom experience much more. And as a professor, when I teach, that's something I really aim to do, is to make it a space where we're just talking a lot and discussing a lot and learning and growing together, rather than just like working on problems in isolation, like distinct from people. And so I think if my only note I had here is the power of learning in community. So that's sort of the professor's pearls today. I last podcasted, I had a lot of acquisitions, which is why, I mean, you've seen some of them already. My 2 test knits, that yarn I acquired to do the test knits, and so that was new. So now I'm going to show you for acquisitions. Oh, I just kind of, there's this bird that just flew out on my porch and it kind of scared me. So now what I'm going to show you are just some other acquisitions. Okay. This is my first time buying bags from this maker. I hope I pronounce this correctly. Sparger Yarn Co. What popped on my radar is that this yarn company, Sparger Yarn Company, was having a sale. And these sock bags were $15 each. $15 each. And I was like, I didn't feel like I needed to buy a Halloween sock bag, but like Matilda's like favorite holiday is like, I don't understand it, but it's Halloween. And like loves Halloween so much. We actually read Halloween books like all year long, like we just did last night. And so it made me think, like, it makes me love Halloween because she loves it so much. So anyway, I bought a Halloween sock bag, but I'm just pumped to use this in the fall now. Look at that cute little ghost popping out. Like, she's gonna love this. I had to, like, when I opened it, I was like, I cannot let her see this. She'll want to like carry this around the house now, like in the middle of summer. Yeah, and it's like tie-dye fabric. I love tie-dye. And it's a zipper top. And like, this is like, I wish I was a better sewist so I could use like the better language, but it's not just fabric. It's like lined with something. This is a nice bag. It was $15. So I like didn't understand it, but I was like, but I have to buy it. I mean, it's like giving it away. So I bought this one, and then I was like, well, summer sock camp's coming up, so I should buy a summery one so I can have a sock bag for summer. And look at that. So cute. It has like a sun on it. It's like purpley pink tie-dye fabric with a yellow zipper. It's so good. Again, like it's lined, it's cushy. It has this nice little handle. And like when it comes with the tag on it, which also comes with like a little progress keeper. I mean, like a little charm. Like this one's like a hand says handmade, and this one's got like a heart. I don't know. It's so good. I just so I have a bag for sock knitting this summer and a bag for sock knitting this fall, and I'm beyond thrilled about it. Like, so excited. Okay. So I did not order the Arkansas Yarn Company Sock Society box. It's a subscription box. It was for sale, and I thought, I just have a huge stash of yarn. Like, I can't justify like random skeins coming in. So I did not buy it. And then I watched Lindsay from Always Yarn First, her unboxing. I watched Maddie and Kristen show theirs on social media, or maybe it was just Maddie. I saw the yarn, I saw the box, and I just had major regret. Like, regret, capital letters, bold, underlined, italicized to the 1,000th power. Like, I was full of regret. This month's yarn was like pink. So good. And then the extras were tough woolens, and I love tough woolens. Love tough woolens. So I messaged Maddie, and I was like, I cannot handle my jealousy right now about that box and like the tough woolens. And she's like, well, the tough woolens is actually for sale separate at Arkansas Yarn Company, and she sent me the link. And so I bought it all. So this is the lotion. I actually like have so much tough woolens that I put one in every bag. So like this bag, it's got one in it right here. Boop. This one's called Night Sky. There's a little sock basket over there. It's got Refresh, which, side note, is my favorite scent. Refresh, it's the best scent. So good. I've gone through like 3 of those. This bag here, I got another tough ones inside here. I think it's the, yep, It's the 5th and 57th. This one smells like, I don't know, like kind of leather to me or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't need to keep showing you all my random Tuffle ones, but I just love these things. They're so good if you knit with, they're so good if you knit with non-superwash yarn. But even if you knit with superwash yarn and you have dry skin, like I have such dry skin, it's something I really struggle with. And so like, it just is nice to put this on and then knit. And anyway, so this is a custom scent for Arkansas Yarn Company called Wildflowers. And the packaging's pink. Okay, this is so good. This may not be a scent for everybody because it is a floral scent, but I just love it. I've been waiting to use it till I showed it on the podcast, which is ridiculous because it's not like you can see it, or smell it. It's so good. I love it. So I couldn't even decide what bag I wanted to put it in because I like it so much. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna leave it out. It's gonna be like the leave it out one. Okay. And so then they also have bath soap. And have you ever had this kind of bath soap that they like slice, like somebody makes it and they like slice it? This is my favorite. I love this kind of soap. I've never used Tough Woolens kind of soap like this, but I've used other kind of soap like this. So I got it in the wildflower scent, and it's pink. It smells so good. I just ran out of my like Makealong soap wash soak, like your stuff you soak your hand knits in. And so I thought, oh, this would be a good time to try one of these instead. It is Arkansas Yarn Company scent Wildflowers, but it's the sock soap. So my understanding is this is very like good for the environment because like it comes packaged in this paper and it's not like a plastic bottle, and you need very little of it. My understanding is that you just need to like chop a little bit up off of it and you can just use it under your sink. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to switch from my plastic bottle kind to this and we'll see how that works out. And then Lori, being Lori or whoever packaged it, of course had some extras in there for me, like this little progress keeper. What? So cute. I now have 2 Arkansas Progress Keepers, and so this is my 3rd one, and this one's different because it's big. At first I think I'm from Arkansas because I like have all these Arkansas Progress Keepers. I've never even been. Okay, and then this vinyl sticker that says, y'all, this is my very favorite. And okay, so first of all, the Arkansas Yarn Company, they have a YouTube channel. It's called like Arkansas Yarn Cast or something like that. And I think when they get to 500 subscribers, they are giving away a sweater's worth of yarn, which is like a sweater's quantity of yarn, which is an amazing giveaway. So if you want, you can go check that out. But I watch them and it's like, there's people who are funny and like they probably know they're funny, like Kristen and Maddie. Like I would think Kristen and Maddie recognize that they're funny. But then there's people that are funny and it's like I don't think you know that you're funny. I think you don't know that you're funny. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the Arkansas Yarn Cast. It's like I definitely giggle when I watch, and the reason why I'm saying that is this sticker, y'all. This is my very favorite. So I can actually like hear that like out of Lori's voice from watching that podcast. And so I'm like, I need to put this somewhere. Good. I'm either going to put it on my Yeti drink like bottle, or I'm going to put it here on my knitting notebook. Either way, I'm leaning towards my notebook maybe. So, that's a lot of acquisitions. All right, I realized that I forgot to show something, a little surprise that came in the mail. So Yvonne, who I met through this channel, like she was a viewer of the channel, and she's participated better than me in the Scrappy sweater Makealong. I'll put her Instagram handle here if you want to go check out her sweater that she made. She made a really cool Scrappy sweater. Anyway, she made this progress keeper and sent it to me. Well, she made 2 of them, but they're so cool. And it's got like the kind of this back that I like better than the lobster claw clasps. But it's really kind of iridescent and beautiful. And she made this one too. So that's so cool. So thank you, Yvonne. I was not expecting this. Like sometimes I'm like expecting something to come in the mail. Somebody messages me or tells me it's coming. This was like a complete surprise. And yeah, I'm really excited to use these on something. I'm not sure what. I was thinking maybe my Petite Souffle. We'll see. Okay. If you've made it this far in the podcast, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed anything, please consider liking, subscribing if you don't already subscribe, or commenting below. From this point forward, I'm just going to be talking about personal things. And so if you're only here for kind of yarny things, thanks so much for watching. There's no more yarn from this point forward. So, personal life. I finished reading a book called All Art Welcome by Liz Parker. I'm not for sure, but I'm like 80 to 90% confident that I got that book for free through Amazon First Reads. So essentially, if you have an Amazon Prime account, every month you can get a free Kindle book for your Kindle through this program called First Reads, which is like a new book that comes out, like a new release. And you have quite a bit to pick from, which is nice. And so I think All Are Welcome was a book from that. And I mean, it wasn't my most favorite book I've ever read. It was an easy read. Like, it wasn't hard to read. It was easy to get into. Did not give it a high Goodreads. And I think this is my challenge, is I think it was supposed to be like a rom-com. I think it was supposed to be a rom-com, but it wasn't funny to me. Like, it was sad. So there's many characters in it, but one of the characters is a woman-woman couple getting married. And so there was a lot of like homophobia towards this couple, and that made me really sad. And it was supposed to be a rom-com, but I was really struggling to find it funny. So that was sort of why it didn't get good reviews for me. So now the next book I'm reading is West Side Love Story, and I'm reading that on my Kindle, and that was my month of May's pick from Amazon First Read. I've always sort of like been maybe like admiring like my friends that like have those like book clubs. Like I have a friend who gets the book of the month club like mailed to her every month, and I think that's amazing. I've never purchased it because there's only so much space for books, and a book every month is kind of a lot of commitment. And so I've never done it, but for me, the Amazon First Reads has like kind of filled that sort of like desire for like a monthly book club situation, because like there are these books every month that I get to kind of pick from that I haven't, exposes me to new authors. They have the new books like kind of separated by genre. I have lately, as you can tell, been picking romance, and I think I've just needed that kind of like lighter reading. So West Side Love Story is what I'm reading now. I'm just in the early stages of it. And what I'm finding really exciting about it, what drew me to that book, is that it highlights a women-only mariachi band, which is, from what I understand, like a little uncommon. And so I was really excited to read that. And what was interesting is I picked it because it was like kind of empowering and showcasing a women's only mariachi band. And then, and I'll share more about this soon, I was in Disneyland with my family this past week, and I saw a women's only, like a full women mariachi band at Disneyland. And I was so excited. It made me think of that book I was reading. I am also listening to a book right now. I'm listening to The Vanishing Half when I like go on a walk or something like that, and I'm almost done with it. It is just like one of those stories that you just can't stop. I'm gonna say reading, but I'm like listening to it, but I just can't stop listening to. I just want to know how it ends. I want to know what happens to the characters. I just like have to, like, I would just definitely recommend the book. I really struggle with saying a book is good when it's about something that's like really hard, like racism. Like there are issues of racism in the book and things. So I have a hard time saying like a book's good in that context. But it is worth reading. It is well written. It is a story where you are like rooting for the characters. Yeah, I'm really, really glad I'm listening to it. Okay, so that's kind of the reading situation. 3 weeks, first of all, they've gone by very quickly. Second of all, I haven't knit very much because of everything going on. And so I think I'll just share like a little, like two kind of major highlights. The first is I was wrapping up a research project from my sabbatical. And so I was busy collecting data, which involves like meeting with children individually about some math tasks. And so, yeah, so that it took up a big chunk of time wrapping that up, and it was really amazing and fulfilling and super exciting and all good things. Just, it was busy. And as soon as that wrapped up, my family, Kyle, Matilda, and I, we went to Disneyland in California. And I grew up in the Midwest, and so did Kyle. And then last year, Disneyland was closed. So Matilda, she's only gone to Disney World, which is in Florida. She's gone to Disney World when she was a baby, and then last year, May of 2021. So I just haven't really been to Disneyland that much. I've gone twice to Disneyland by myself, like with like a girlfriend prior to having children. But I hadn't like gone with Kyle. Matilda hadn't been. So this was our very first like Disneyland vacation. And it was Matilda's first time at Disneyland. So she got like a pin that said first visit. And we stayed at a Disney resort, and we were working with a Disney travel agent for planning the trip. And she was like, that's a lot of days at the Disneyland park. I don't think you need that many, because we did 5 days at the parks. And I was like, it's never enough for me. And it wasn't. So we did like so many rides. We did like some rides like 3 or 4 times actually. Like we had a really, really good time and just made like a lot of really special memories. One of the things I really like at Disneyland are the snacks. And like, I am just really into the snacks there. And so I ended up canceling a couple dinner reservations just so that we could like just keep eating the snacks. I don't know, maybe I'll put some pictures of the snacks in here if I can find them. But like, one of my favorite snacks is like a soft pretzel that's like shaped like Mickey. Yeah, like there's just, we ate a lot. And but we also walked a lot. Like my watch would say sometimes that we walked like 9 miles in a day. Like we were like running around. And we also like eat a lot of popcorn when we're there. We have these buckets that we like fill up with popcorn. And so then when you're walking around outside, you'd have some popcorn. When you're waiting in line, you're eating some popcorn. And the way that we Disney vacation, like I don't knit at all. Like I just don't knit. So last year when we went to Disney World, I didn't knit at all. I didn't knit in the lines. I didn't knit when we got back to our hotel room. I just didn't. The reason why I don't knit in the lines is like, we're actually not staying in the lines that long to knit. Like last year with like COVID, like nobody was at Disney World. It was like, we hardly waited in lines. And then this year, it was busier at Disneyland, but you could purchase this thing called like lightning lanes. Like you buy this thing called Genie Plus, and like essentially like you had rides that you could like do lightning lanes for. And so we like hardly waited in line. You'd like walk up and just like keep walking through essentially. So, and then when we get back to our hotel room, I'm exhausted because I've been like running. We basically, when we get back to our hotel room, we're not hanging out. We just like go to sleep and then we get up and do the whole thing over. It's a very active vacation and it's so fun. Matilda's a little scared of like the mascots, like, or the characters that are large and dressed up. She likes seeing them and would get very excited about seeing them, but she wouldn't. We'd ask her like, do you want to stand in line and like, you know, give Tigger a hug or something? And she'd be like, no, I don't want to hug him. I don't want to see him. We did what was supposed to be our last day. It wasn't our last day. We had a little travel hiccup getting home, but what was supposed to be our last day, we were supposed to, we had a character breakfast where you go to breakfast and you basically make a reservation at this restaurant knowing that you're doing character dining, like you're eating and there's going to be characters there. And that we should have maybe done at the beginning of the trip instead of the end, because it really warmed her up to the characters, because the whole week she would just like wave from afar and didn't want to get near them. And then at this character dining, like they could tell she was shy and they were like so gentle. Like they would like kind of act shy of her or like reach out their hand for like a high five. Like they were incredible. And so she ended up really like warming up, and like by the end of it, like she had like high-fived some of the characters and like wasn't scared of them. And so anyway, I thought that was really cool and really fun. Yeah, so we did have a little trouble getting home. So essentially we were flying out of LAX, out of LA, and our flight just got randomly canceled, which happens, particularly in these times. Like a pilot can't fly if they have COVID or something like this. So, I mean, stuff happens. And so our flight was canceled randomly. The problem is like we had already checked out of our hotel and we were like, you know, but Disneyland was super, like Disney, like the resort was like super nice, and they let us stay. They found us a room to stay an extra day. And so we got like a bonus day. And so we just spent the entire day swimming in the pool. And by we, I mean me and Matilda, because then Kyle was like on the phone trying to rebook our flight. And the reason why I was on the phone the entire day was because they could automatically do it in the app and rebook you, but they had rebooked us wrong. Like instead of like LA to Portland, they did like a flight. They rebooked us LA to Oakland, and we didn't have like a flight to Portland. You know. and they must have canceled a lot of flights because it was like hours of Kyle trying to figure this out. So he talks to 2 different agents. They get it worked out. We get to the airport and we're like, we had some trouble. I'm like, oh, no problem. And they like take our suitcases. They print out the tags like it's working. They check the bags. They go on the look and conveyor belt. They go away. And we're standing there. And then the agent's like on the phone, like kind of muffling. And then when you check your bags, like you usually just walk to security and it takes you like 5 minutes. We were there for an hour. And I was like, I got a bad feeling about what's happening here. Sure enough, they booked us on a flight that didn't have seats. There was no seats. I don't know how you book somebody on a flight with no seats, but they did. And so we had to get a different flight. Anyway, this is turning out way longer than I wanted. Short story. We're supposed to be on Friday. We got home Sunday at 2 a.m. But Matilda is the best person to travel with. Like, the best person to travel with. She did not complain once. Not once. We had a direct flight. It was supposed to be 2 hours, LA to Portland. We ended up having to like travel on 2 different flights and like layover. Like, that was like a blessing to her because she got to go on 2 airplanes instead of 1. Like, she just like truly like the best person to travel with. And she's 4. So sometimes I'm like, man, what is she gonna be like to travel with when she's 20? Like, probably like the coolest person ever. Just because she's already like the best to travel with now. Yeah, she's my favorite person to travel with. So anyway, even though it kind of was like a bummer how it ended, like the rest of the trip was super incredible. And like, I feel really like blessed for the trip. I never mentioned it on the channel here because we actually like weren't necessarily planning on going. So we went to Disney World last year to kick off my sabbatical, and we were supposed to do something else the month of May. I won't like go into all of it, but essentially like I had a project and I was supposed to go to Eastern Europe. And you know, there's some like a humanitarian crisis, some like really hard things going on right now. And with the Ukraine war and like just everything. And so it was not the right time for us to be going to Eastern Europe, the 3 of us. And so those plans got canceled. And I was really feeling kind of down about it. And that's where we last minute had planned this Disneyland vacation. Thanks so much for watching this podcast. I can't thank you enough for being here and part of this community and watching this and commenting. The power of learning is in community. That was the point of the Professor's Pearls, but it's also like not just the power of learning is in community, but just like it's where the good stuff is, you know, like it's where the friendships are. It's where the joy is. And so anyway, thank you so much. And just a reminder, there's the Books and Beanies Makealong that just started, and it's going for 2 months, so it'll end sometime in July. And the second Makealong is the Scrappy Sweater Makealong, which is quite a long Makealong. It's going until September, so you can still hop in. First Tuesday of every month, there's a Zoom night, which is I'll announce on Ravelry and also on Instagram. And the last one coming up, it hasn't started yet, but it will be coming up on June 15, is more souffle, please. So anyway, thanks so much. See you soon. Bye.